Hello guys and welcome to the video of the week number 3. I hope you have had some good weeks. I am pretty aware of the situation we're all living, so I really send you my best wishes uh, in terms of the academics that you're having. Hope you're not having a lot of trouble. Um, your families, your jobs, your emotional and mental health, that is really important. So now I send you my best energies and hope everything is going well. Well, as usual, so I'm going to start with a really short poem that I would like to share with you today. This is by Ernesto Cardenal, that he's a poet from Nicaragua, and well, I always like these verses because I found them really funny. Somehow, that was not the intention, of course, but I mean, this guy's wrote them with a little bit of revenge on his heart, and that's why I think it's a little bit fun. So this is to Claudia, okay? So by the way, it's in Spanish, of course. It says, Te doy, Claudia, estos versos porque tú eres su dueña. Los he escrito sencillos para que tú los entiendas. Son para ti solamente, pero si a ti no te interesan, un día se divulgarán tal vez por toda Hispanoamérica. Y si el amor que los dictó tú también lo desprecias, otras soñarán con este amor que no fue para ellas. Tal vez verás, Claudia, que estos poemas, escritos para conquistarte a ti, despiertan en otras parejas enamoradas que los lean los besos que en ti no despertó el poeta. Cuídate, Claudia, cuando estés conmigo, porque el gesto más leve, cualquier palabra, un suspiro de Claudia, el menor descuido, tal vez un día lo examinen eruditos, y este baile de Claudia se recuerde por siglos. Claudia, ya te lo aviso. Otros podrán ganar mucho dinero, pero yo he sacrificado ese dinero por escribirte estos cantos a ti, a otra que cantaré en vez de ti, o a nadie. Al perderte yo a ti, tú y yo hemos perdido. Yo porque tú eras lo que yo más amaba, y tú porque yo era el que te amaba más. Pero de nosotros dos, tú pierdes más que yo, porque yo podría amar a otras como te amaba a ti, pero a ti no te amarán como te amaba yo. Esta será mi venganza, que un día llegue a tus manos el libro de un poeta famoso y leas estas líneas que el autor escribió para ti y tú no lo sepas. What I really find funny is that sure, eventually this guy became really famous. He published a lot of different books, and I guess that Claudia eventually received those verses and those lines. Well, let's get on with our content for this week. So remember that until the previous session, we have discussed about like certain things that we have to take into account in order to choose text, to select them. We previously mentioned certain things about the ability to read fluently. So this week, or in this particular video, we're going to focus on the ability to respond properly. Okay? So if you go to the slide number 29, you can be so kind, you will see that there are a couple of things that will help you if they are accomplished by the material that you select, right? So I expect that by now you have already realized that there is no such thing as a perfect text if we select original materials. Maybe if you select an adapted material, you have better chances of having most of the situations solved. But with the original materials, that is the ones that we are managing, essentially, you will see that maybe they accomplish one part but not the other. But that's just fine, that's part of your work as a teacher, in order to adapt these for the students or make them prepare for receiving that. Somehow preparing them to deal with all these different possibilities. So as I mentioned today, let's talk about the ability to respond properly. So if you see the first characteristic over there, it says that the material is supposed to make the student or the reader visualize mentally what is described in words. Well, you need to be careful with this, right? Because it is important to have a vivid description. It is important to have um, words that can paint a picture for you. But then a very common complaint of students, especially at school ages, right, is the fact that the authors spend 2 or 3 or 4 pages describing, I don't know, a living room, a house, a person, but nothing really happens, right? Like you can spend like three pages reading descriptions, and the story doesn't advance. Okay, so careful with that. Let's try to find a balance in this sort of thing. Now there are some other things, like if you think that your students are not very imaginative, and that may happen, and that's okay, because like nowadays we have so many things that are visual themselves, such as social networks and videos and movies and video games. So you don't really need to fight with that, right? So there are options to that. If you think that definitely the material is not strong enough in terms of delivering this description, what you can do is to select, for example, comic books or graphic novels in which there is an illustration, and that may be fine. Or illustrated books, that also may be a good option. We can find options in which there are 3 or 4 pages, and then there's come a really good illustration, really beautiful one that helps like confirming certain things, right? Sometimes it happens that that the illustration is not exactly the same as the words, right? That there's the illustrator takes a little bit of liberty in this, but that's fine as well. Yes, like you can compare that and find the differences, and that's actually a technique that I will show you in a moment. Then the material should be enough to respond emotionally, right? So let's say that a story that somehow affects, hopefully in a positive or negative way, the emotions of the reader, right? So that you can connect because you feel that there's something similar in your life, that there's a character similar to somebody you know or somebody you want to be, or they discuss in the story about a topic or theme that is relevant at the moment. Well, different things, right? Let's say that your mission is that the student is able to love and hate and feel somehow connected at some point with characters, stories, or something like that, right? We're trying to find something more than boredom, yes, because that's also an emotional response, but we're looking to go a little bit beyond that, yes. So hopefully we can select materials that have that option, and if they are not explicitly that way, well, it is your job as a teacher to be able to transmit that, to transmit certain emotions or ideas that may be likable or good or somehow encouraging for emotional reaction. Now, there's the third point that says about understanding the characters, sorry, motives or motivations. This is really important, guys, okay? And this goes pretty much with the comprehensible character. What is that? Got a moment? What is the comprehensible character? It's a character that I understand. No, it's not that, right? Remember, one more time, a comprehensible character is a character that has a combination of features, a combination of, let's say, ideas or personalities and motivations that is not 100% good and 100% bad. Like you are going to find all these ideas combined into a character like that. Yes, characters, let's say 100% good or bad or evil or candid or cute. Well, they mostly belong to fables, or they mostly belong to archetypes that you can find in fairy tales. And well, if you want to use a fairy tale, that's fine, yes, but remember my advice about the public, right? Like normally you wouldn't like to, you shouldn't use that with a teen public, teenagers or adults, only because the language is easy or because let's say the stories are simple. So understanding the motivations of characters are something that is really important, yes, because if you know why somebody does something, because somebody takes a certain action course, or somebody makes a decision, why somebody lives, why somebody kills somebody else, why somebody escapes, commits a crime, wants to get rich. Well, whatever, that is going to help you connect with the character and help you feel a little bit more realistic somehow about the reading, right? Remember that this term realistic that I use is in terms of not what could happen in real life, uh, not necessarily discarding magic and monsters and space and fantasy, no, but it's how realistic feels a character in terms of behavior, of motivations, and all these different things, right? Mm, the next part that has to do with the possibility of the reader to make critical and moral judgments is very important, right? If you're able to establish a position towards the action of a character, well, that is going to help you a lot, right? In debates, in discussions, in worksheets, in you name it, right? Like it's really difficult, and you know it, and you that are taking synchronic classes with a teacher where when the poor teacher is expecting somebody to participate and everybody has microphones off, well, you know how difficult it is to motivate participation. So if these judgments are able to be done, yes, if you can judge somehow the behavior of a character, his motivations, the story, if you can say this is good or bad, or I would do that, or I wouldn't do that, or he was brave to do that, or he was a coward to do that, or that's an example of something you shouldn't do. Whatever in terms of morality, this is going to somehow sprout or make debate sprout a little bit easier, and that will facilitate hopefully your job. So it's important to have this sort of contents in the materials that you select. And then this final one is really important, guys, and I think that sometimes not even journalists or let's say grown-up people and specialized supposedly people can deal with this. Yes, and it's detect the relationship between the author and the text, right? These are two different people, right? Or two different components. Yes, the author, we can spend hours and hours speaking about the concept of author, but let's simplify it for the sake of our subject. That the author is the person who writes the story, the book, the poem, the tale, whatever, right? A person that exists or existed in reality, that has the same needs and let's say feelings, behaviors, necessities than a human being, right? And the text or the character, even if it's written in first person, even if sometimes has some sort of autobiographical components, if you see a lot of the author reflected into the characters, sometimes even the protagonists have the same name or last name of the author, right? So they may create confusion, right? But they are always like different people, and you normally cannot judge like a text because you cannot judge an author because of what he writes. Yes, so you cannot really accuse Stephen King of being a maniacal homicide because he writes about terror, right? You cannot accuse of I don't know, sexual misbehavior to a certain authors such as Vladimir Nabokov or any of the other ones that write certain things related to sex just because of what he writes. Yes, and well, that's it. And even when there are certain misconducts that we can find in the author in his or her real life, well, that is, in my opinion, should be separate from the task. Then again, that's only my position. That is another thing that you can somehow read and decide. Yes, and that will have to do a lot with some of the previous points, such as making critical and moral judgments, right? And those those points or those positions can create really interesting debates. Yes, so we know, for example, that Ernest Hemingway, that was one of the greatest writer of North American literature, well, he liked bullfighting, yes, corridas de toros, and he liked hunting, yes, so he went into Africa, or he went into different places where he could shoot at animals. So does it make his work any less likable, any less valuable? Yes or no? That's something you can discuss, sorry, and that may be really interesting, right? I don't know. There's a lot of different, really famous writers and poets that at some point committed suicide. Yes, so it should be like a bad thing to read things written by them. Can we be influenced negatively by them? So yeah, that is the discussion, and I'm going to give you the answers to those questions. Maybe at some point you may find them like useful or interesting to discuss with your own students. But the important thing is that we can detect certain relationship of correspondence, of exact same thought, of opposite acting versus what you write, well, etc. Into this relationship between the authors and the text. Okay, so that's really important. Analyze all that in your somehow your text, the text that you're going to select, and I'm pretty sure that it is going to be much easier to deal with that. Remember what I mentioned in the previous sessions? I know that this sort of takes a lot of time, and you will say, well, do I have to spend really all this time? Why I don't just pick something because of the cover and that's it? Well, you can do that, but I'm pretty sure, because of experience, my experience and the experience of other teachers that have like a bad result doing this very randomly, I strongly recommend this. Yes, the time that you're investing right now in the selection and verifying and analyzing these aspects is going to be time that you're going to be able to save in the future into conflicts with the students, conflicts with the parents, conflicts with the managers of the school, because you, in anticipation, like prepare all this. And well, it sounds really long right now, but there's no such thing. Like after you take some practice with it, you can analyze this mentally. You don't even need to write anything. Well, it really depends on your memory and your work style. And for example, myself, what I do is do this mentally. Like, okay, this should be adaptable, this we use, motivational, should it create any sort of possibility for somehow discussion, yes or no, and that would be it, okay? So that was our first video, the ability to respond properly, something short over here. So what we're going to discuss in deep in the next video is the linguistic and stylistic level of the text. We have already discussed a little bit about that, but I'm going to give you some examples already, okay? So see you in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye and hugs.